Hello and welcome once again to r/asktransgender. My name's Retro Mary. Obviously, I'll be your host tonight. And today we have a bunch of different questions on things on what exactly it means to be trans and stuff within the transgender experience. That being said, this one's going to be a long one, so I hope you're ready to sit back and enjoy and listen to the beautiful tones of talking about transgender issues and topics. Our first question comes in from Mitsiosis, not Mitsiosis? I don't know what that means, but we'll see. And they're asking, can a trans girl not really fit in with other girls and also not like dresses? So I have personally been questioning my gender for a few months now and realized that I am trans but don't really know if I'm a trans girl specifically. I've seen many trans women online saying how they always find mostly girly friends and not boys, but for me it's the opposite. I don't really fit in with the boys that much either, but it was better. The fact that I had social anxiety doesn't really help. Additionally, I don't like dresses, and every single trans woman I have seen has said they really enjoy wearing them. I still want to feel cute and stuff, but dresses are just not for me. Unfortunately, I also hate the male equivalent of dresses, so I just kind of end up only wearing t-shirts. I do have many signs from childhood, like wishing to be a girl and stuff like that, but I also hate body hair. What do you think? I'm sorry if my English was horrible, it's because it's not my native language. Edit, thank you so much for the replies, I really appreciate it. I have now pretty much accepted that I am a trans girl. Well, first off, congratulations on that, girly. We appreciate you and love you being here. However, when it comes to the question at hand, I find it, honestly, for a fairly verbose question, I think it has a pretty simple answer. You just like dressing more masculine. As I've said here before on the channel, masculine doesn't exactly mean male. Gender expression, gender, and sex are three very different topics, of which you'd be able to go over and express yourself in a multitude of ways with them. That being said, if you're just not a fan of dresses and just like, skirts or jeans or many kind of shorts maybe, that's also perfectly 100% common when it comes to women. I mean, I think cis women also wear jeans and shorts, funny enough. So yeah, no, there's nothing weird when it comes to going over and wearing that kind of stuff. And you can definitely fit in with other people and not wear dresses. And it's also normal to not fit in with the other girlies and also be a trans girl. That's just something that happens in life, and you roll with the punches that you're dealt with, honestly. Our next answer is coming in from Lo-Fi 9643, stating that they hated their body before their egg cracking. Hi, I'm 20, signed male at birth. Before I knew about HRT and just in transitioning in general, I hated my body. I'm 5'7" and have a small waist, 28 waist, so I'm short for a man. And it made it pretty hard to buy trousers and belts due to my waist, which made me hate my body. But as my eggs started to crack, I've actually come to like my height. Do I wish I was a bit shorter, like 5'4"? Yes, but I know some people have had it worse for them. I'm not on any HRT yet, and no money and job, but I was wondering if anyone else had a similar experience. I'm also interested if anyone has experienced height changes when on HRT due to pelvic tilt or ligament changes. Okay, interesting. So I'll admit this right now, there is definitely a societal thing that's come from that. Essentially one of the big reasons why a lot of people kind of have a problem with their height when they might be shorter or taller than other people, and then when they change gender, they might feel more comfortable with their height, is because we're kind of taught in the society that we live in that, like, men are taller, women are shorter. It's like a thing that is relatively, it's affected by things like testosterone and estrogen and stuff like that, but it's stuff that we are taught to essentially perpetuate this kind of heteronormative society. That being said, yes, there are also short guys and tall girls, but that could be a source of dysphoria, especially for trans people, when we are essentially brought into a place so heavily based on essentially hating who we are. That being said, yeah, that's probably the reason why when your eggs started to crack and you found out you were female, you liked your shorter height a bit more than when you thought that you were a guy. Obviously, as well as things not being built for your smaller height in the men's section, yeah, it was going to be rather prominent that you had a hard time finding clothes, having your belts fit, and stuff like that. That being said, yes, it's a very common experience that this happens. Obviously, it's different for certain people. I think another person down here already says that they felt something like that. But yeah, that is my take on that issue. And good news for you as well, yes, HRT can affect height. It is fairly, I'm pretty sure fairly small, like give or take a couple of inches. But yes, HRT can go over and affect height. Puberty does affect these kind of things. And going through HRT is essentially like going through a second puberty. So yes, your height will be affected and potentially make you even shorter, which could be good. Our next question is, what does dysphoria feel like? From a difficult block 3809. When I read/listen to trans youth experiences and really let myself listen and connect to what's being said, or think hard about whether or not I like being a man without letting myself dissociate from my feelings, I get this emotion that feels like a broiling, restless despair that leaves me feeling like I need to talk to someone, or that I need to do something, but I'm not sure what. If I get it at night, it keeps me awake all night. The strongest episode I got was after the finale of The Amazing Digital Circus. Thoughts? Well, as someone that made a video on stuff pertaining to that finale, hint hint nudge nudge, I can say that definitely probably is dysphoria. When it comes to that, like, I don't know exactly. It's more up to you to determine. But when it comes to dysphoria, it can feel different for different people. Essentially, dysphoria is an unfortunate mental illness that a lot of trans people go through. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And they unfortunately feel very dissociated from their body, or like outside of, essentially are feeling bad about their body. It doesn't exactly fit what's inside their heart, and they feel upset or sad, they disassociate, they get angry. It can feel different for plenty of different people. So I can't say definitively what dysphoria feels like, or if what you are feeling in and of itself is dysphoria, but I am glad that you are thinking on it and are able to see whether or not that would be the case. I'd recommend potentially going to a therapist to see if this is dysphoria or if this is something in particular different. But a lot of the stuff that you are talking about, the broiling, restless despair, that you need to do something, or you need something from your body that you're just not able to get, that does fit general descriptions of dysphoria. For myself, it's less of a despair and more discomfort. When I first started feeling dysphoria, it was a lot more, how do I put it? When I first learned I was trans, I didn't feel dysphoria. I felt a lot of euphoria when I dressed up very feminine. But when it came to the general dressing as a guy. I felt kind of neutral. And then as years went on and I liked dressing as a woman more and more, going out, like having fun, I felt a sense of disgust. So like, ugh, I don't like this. It doesn't fit me. It's not who I am. Like the whole thing of essentially just standing there looking in front of the mirror and seeing a guy was disgusting in my eyes. And it's one reason why I really don't like taking pictures when it comes to me being, at least that's what I've learned. When it comes to me being dressed up as a guy, I do not like taking pictures. I hate it. I've hated it since I was younger. But when it comes to feminine stuff, I have a good amount of pictures, a lot of them online, and they are fun as heck to take. Because I actually just feel like myself. It's a hard feeling to describe, but you'll know it if you have it. Which I think leads into another question that I've been going over and thinking about for a little bit of time that I've seen recently. Is it normal to feel an extreme amount of self-hatred at myself for being this way or having these thoughts? From Lonely Frog 284. My brain just keeps saying, why can't I be like everyone else? And I hate it. A short, sweet question, but has a very complicated answer. The simple answer, unfortunately, is kinda. When it comes to a good amount of trans people, a lot of the time, at the start of your transition at least, or sometimes just through how dysphoria affects you, it can be normal to have very specific thoughts. I don't know what thoughts in particular they have. They haven't really gone into question on it. But a lot of them can be, why can't I just be the same as these other people? Why can't I just be these other people? Why can't I exist in a way that's apparently not so inconvenient to everyone else in the fucking world? It's very annoying, and I think early on it's a lot more common because, again, of the society that we live in. We live in a world where people are so eager to point out your flaws and then essentially bully you for it that being trans is such an easy thing to just attack, so people will do it without question. So living in that kind of environment, living in an environment that essentially hates people for being their authentic self, it makes complete and total sense that these kind of thoughts would transpire. Hopefully, as you go on, there is less of this happening. But there's a reason why the Jax video I made in particular, talked about internalized transphobia. It's a real thing that happens when you're taught it in the real world, and then you go ahead and spread that shit to other people because you've been taught to hate who you are, which sucks. I do hope that this can be something you get through and get past. I do hope that a lot of, these kind of thoughts subside over time. And obviously, I don't know how exactly you solve that. I'm not your therapist. I don't know them. I've got 2 sentences from someone named Lonely Frog, right? But I do think that a potential, hopefully, solution could be found, and you're able to go over and enjoy yourself. Enjoy who you are instead of feeling some self-hatred for who you are. Next on our list comes from Gentle Lady Man, and asks, why are right-wingers in America so anti-trans? They reject trans people who, despite secretly watching trans content and trans men who have come out. I mentioned that there are a lot of trans men in America. Even though I'm not in the US, it didn't escape my notice that some far-right individuals like trans male or female content on Twitter. And yes, I don't need to tell me, it's mostly some interesting content. You can probably read it if Obscura isn't being naughty and just kind of censoring everything. But that being said, yeah, that's a big thing that happens. You do gotta remember, especially when it comes over to the US, the Epstein files did happen, of which there were admissions of a guy who was literally planning on making trans kids specifically to, how do I put it? Satisfy their urges. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of them are essentially very into that kind of content. So why are they against the rights for trans people? Well, that's pretty simple. They only see us as that content. See, the main problem when it comes to that kind of thing is the fact that they essentially do not see us as people. They see us as the content that they can get the rocks off to. Which is really unfortunate, because essentially that means that what they'd want us to do, and this is a thing that, for lack of a better term, all the job systems and stuff are essentially trying to lead to, is that anybody that is trans, they want to sexualize. They want us to be seen as sexual objects for someone to go over and watch and get their rocks off to and then leave after something ends. That's why a lot of trans people are kind of forced into sex work. A ton of big companies don't want to hire them. They need to get money. What else can they do but go into the place they are, apparent, for lack of a better term, desired? Which is very irritating too. It's such a harsh thing to be able to go over and be forced to do that kind of shit. It feels dystopian. It feels dystopian, but it's just kind of where we are right now. And it's one of the big reasons why I want to fight for what I think is correct in this country. Essentially, yes, these people it does seem a little weird when you don't think about it too much, when they secretly watch this kind of stuff and at the same time go over and kind of try to make sure that we can't see the light of day. Again, they just don't see us as human. That's where transphobia leads. That's where a lot of misogyny leads. That's where a lot of the stuff we've been talking about as well, to essentially brainwashing of like kids to go over and hate trans people leads. It's because they don't see us as human. That's why they don't want rights for them. Why would they want rights for them if they're not human? They're just trans. Our next question comes from a mysterious text 4826 and is our first TLDR post with, "What am I?" What am I? I am assigned male at birth, 37 years old, married to a beautiful wife, 2 daughters, and I'm confused. Let me see here. Edit after writing. I didn't expect this to become a book. I apologize. It's very disjointed. There's a lot of information missing, but I feel so exhausted after writing. I can't take it anymore. Please be brutally honest with me. I recently saw a YouTube video about trolling people online with a girl voice. God, I hate those sometimes though. My immediate reaction wasn't, haha, that's funny. It was, I want to learn how to do that. I spent 5 days watching tutorials and practicing after my family goes to sleep. Why do I want to sound like a girl? Well, it started with World of Warcraft when I was 15 or 16. I made a girl character with a girl name, and I was that girl for about 8 years, but online only. I pretended to be a girl. Since then, I've generally always made female characters in games, even single-player ones, especially in games that require voice chat. There are plenty of other guys with female characters on voice chat, but using my own voice meant I wouldn't be seen as a girl anymore. Oh, I said accept, my bad, not explicitly. And then I would have to feel weird using a girl character. But we'll come back to gaming. I need to get something off my chest first. My dad died when I was 17. It hurt, so I put on a brave face. Suddenly, without him there, everything he'd ever taught me or told me became kind of a gospel I framed my life around. My dad drank black coffee, so I drank black coffee. I like it now, but didn't when I started. He wasn't a large man, but he was a muscular one, so I worked towards that ideal, towards responsibility he handed down on me to pass on the family name. I ended up with 2 girls, so it might not work out. I had trouble reconciling my disappointment when my second daughter was born, not because she was a girl, but because I felt like I had failed him. Eventually, I felt guilty about pretending to be a girl online, so I stopped. I'm a masculine guy, right? Just like my dad. Then I discovered manga and anime. I think I've watched or read every single gender bender anime or manga that there is. The only genre that I read. It arouses me, so it must be a fetish, right? Enough said. But I guess I relapsed into being a girl online again. VR chat this time. Wow, this is amazing. I can look like an anime girl? Look how tiny my hands are. But then my first daughter is born. I can't be doing this VR chat thing anymore. It's not healthy. I'm a masculine man and a dad now. Time to put the VR away. This part of my life is over. I definitely won't be doing it anymore. AI art starts blowing up overnight, and it's free to make, regardless of how you feel about it. I thought it was really cool. I want to share my creations, so I made a DeviantArt page. Filled out the profile, he, him, she, her, they, them. It's a simple choice. So I should just pick he, him, right? No one's gonna know I'm a man. So I lock in she, her for now. I can always change it later. I started posting my generated image, get a few comments and likes. I enjoyed it. And I get invited to a Discord server. Luckily, I have a girl account from when I played VR chat. I'll use that, but I'll avoid the general chat and focus on posting the art. I win a weekly theme challenge. Just on for AI generated art, but okay. Okay, I have to acknowledge that I want to pick the new theme. I overthink this, and it takes ridiculously long. I asked ChatGPT to help me write a simple thank you. That sounds like a woman wrote it. Because for some reason, I'm suddenly terrified they'll know I'm actually a guy. I've kept this up for about 1.5 years before my interest in AI art waned. The woman I was pretending to be made some wonderful friends, though. Supportive, wonderful woman knew most of the people I've interacted with while gaming are men. They're lovely people, and the guilt of misleading them still hurts. My second daughter is born. I'm a dad. I have to stop this. And that brings us back to the beginning. I saw a girl voice trolling video, and now I want to learn to have a girl voice. What am I? Perverted degenerate? Catfish? Trans? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, complicated one. Definitely not qualified. Definitely not qualified to actually answer the question for them. Oh, why did I keep those up there? I fucking... Oh my god. Squirrely is being naughty. Pew, 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 pew. There you go. When it comes to this kind of issue, that one's a question you really gotta ask yourself. Unfortunately, I am not the person that will go over and answer these questions for you, but I can think that there's definitely something there when it comes to this kind of stuff. A lot of this, think about it like this. Most people that are cis don't typically have the thought of, oh, I'm gonna go over and just like use she, her pronouns, because it's just gonna be a thing. I can just change it later. Why not? What's the harm in just being a girl for a little bit? It's not a lot of super cis behavior. The problem comes in that there's a lot of confliction, right? I assume that a bunch of the stuff that your dad told this Redditor has gone over and then essentially kind of crossed with your experiences of, oh, but I like being a girl, oh, but I have a duty, which is wild, by the way, a duty to be a man and spread your seed and whatever. It sounds like they were very conservative parents who essentially, when their dad died, had essentially like grafted this kind of mentality onto the person writing the story. And I feel that a lot of that is pretty much going over and like taking up what potentially can be an awakening at this point. Because yeah, there is also a lot of shit to lose, right? You have a wife. They could not be bi. They could just be straight, and that's gonna be a problem if you come out a girl. You have 2 daughters. If something like that happens, what's gonna happen with them? Regardless of whether or not you failed because you couldn't make a guy, which isn't even a failure or anything, whatever. Regardless of all of that, that shit seems very, very stressful. And I think it's going over and essentially proclaiming this whole freaking thing of when you were living this life for like, what, 22 years? Said 37 was 15. Yeah, 22 years of your life you've been pretending on and off to be a girl online. And the answer is like, why? Because you assume you're not just doing it for... Because it seems pretty obvious if it's just like a fetish, right? Like if it's just a fetish, you'll know. Like if it's just like something like that, or you just want to troll, you'll know. So I think the problem comes in that you kind of, again, you gotta just ask yourself, what is going on there? It's a time to go over and like explore your gender. And honestly, online is a perfect way to do so. I don't like the AI stuff in particular, so I definitely wouldn't recommend doing that. But things for VR chat, the stuff on some Discords, if you're going over and you can just confess to the people around you, just to say that you want to be addressed as she, her for a little bit of time, that could be something to look into. That could be something to explore and something to help you figure out if you're trans or not. Unfortunately, I don't have all the answers there, and I don't think that there's going to be anyone who can really answer the what am I question aside from yourself. That's a big thing when it comes to trans people. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. A lot of people won't be able to tell you. There's a lot of people that'll say, oh, you're definitely trans, or oh, you're definitely not, because you can't be, because men can't be women, that kind of stuff, right? But like the most important person to ask that question is not me or your friend or your best friend or anybody on Reddit asking to the thousands of people that could probably see this post. It is yourself. You are the person you have to ask that question to, and you are the person that has to answer. And whatever the answer is, exploring your gender is usually a very, very good thing. So, this kind of journey that's seemingly very long overdue for you, I feel like is something you should definitely go over and address. And for a bit of a probably more lighthearted question, I assume, we're going to go to Ask LGBT this time. To answer from False Assessment 7764, do I fall under the trans umbrella if I use all pronouns? I am female, and I identify as cis. I never cared what pronouns you will use for me, and I mostly go with she, her, because that's what mostly commonly used for cis females. And almost everyone I know just uses that for me. Lately, a few of my friends have been saying by using or not caring what pronouns is for me to fall under is the trans umbrella. Be is pangender or questioning. Okay, this is an interesting one to read, sorry. I don't identify as such, but two trans people, male to female and gender fluid, and a long ally of the community told me I'd fall under the trans umbrella as well. So I'm puzzled. Am I under the trans umbrella if I use all pronouns? Edit. Also, a part I should have added earlier, I'm a bi, so I'm part of the LGBT, but not trans. Okay. Not trans umbrella. Alright. So at that point, it's relatively interesting. Because as far as you... Because that is something that's interesting. Most people would say yes when you tell them specifically most of this. Because not caring what pronouns you use, just going by she, her, because what's most commonly used for cis people and stuff like that, makes it sound like you're within the non-binary umbrella, which is under trans, of which would be, you would be able to use any pronouns for what they have because they don't really identify with one of the genders, so they don't really care which one you use. So yeah, at that point, it sounds like you would, except for a very specific problem within your story. You identify as a cis woman. The thing about the trans umbrella is that there's two different terminologies. There's trans and there's cis. Trans means that you are different from what was assigned to you at birth. I.e., if you were assigned male at birth and you are a trans female, then yeah, you would be trans because you identify as a different gender than what you were assigned at birth based on your sex. Say, and the different thing with cis people. Essentially, if you're assigned male at birth, like we said before, and then you go over and say, yeah, I identify as a man, I'm very comfortable as a man, I love being a man, then you'd be cis. Because if you identify as a man, and you were assigned a male at birth, you're on the same side as what you were assigned as at birth, you would be a cis person, which is the majority of the population. So if you identify as cis, a cisgender woman, then no, you wouldn't fall under the trans umbrella. You wouldn't fall under the trans umbrella at that point. That being said, if you were questioning your gender, that is one thing. Granted, you would still essentially you be considered cis at the time, considering you don't know what you would be under, what you're questioning. But if you identify as cis and you're very much sure of that, even with the, with that edit there, then no, you wouldn't be trans. You would be under the cis umbrella. It's perfectly fine to be so, obviously. There's nothing wrong with it, I should note. But yeah, you would be under the cis umbrella. But that being said, I think that is going to be the end of our coverage today. Bit of an extra long episode, but especially with the more recent stuff that's been happening with this channel, I'm more than happy to do so. If you want to see any more of the r/asktransgender posts that I've been making, feel free to go over and do so. And if you want to go over and see the latest video that I made aside from this, you're more than welcome to click on the thing over there to be able to see that. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, I will see you guys later.